Ahoy there, nautical truth seekers. My name is Aries Ezra, your decorated skipper on this voyage, and you have just boarded the illustrious ship Nautical Awakenings, where we have daily deep dives into Esoteric and sail vastly through the waters of truth. Today, we set our course into the shadowy abyss that lurks beneath the surface of global governance, what some call the deep state. This hidden hand has been manipulating societies, orchestrating economic collapses, guiding wars like chess pieces, and engineering history itself to maintain its power. But who are they? What mechanisms do they use to pull the strings of nations and shape the minds of the masses? And most importantly, how can we navigate these treacherous waters and reclaim our sovereignty? Stick with me, truth seekers, because this journey is not for the faint of heart. Set your compasses and gather your deck books. We're about to get nautical. To understand the deep state, we must first recognize that the world as we know it is not governed by elected officials alone. What we see on the surface, presidents, prime ministers, senators, are merely the actors in a grand play, reciting lines written by unseen scriptwriters. The concept of hidden power structures is nothing new. History has always been shaped by those who operate in the shadows. From the high priests of ancient Egypt who advised the pharaohs, to the bankers who funded both sides of wars in Europe, the real decision-makers have long stayed behind the curtains, pulling the levers of power while the world watches the puppet show. Ancient empires operated under secret councils, rulers who never wore crowns but whispered in the ears of those who did. The Medici family financed kingdoms from the shadows. The Rothschilds built financial empires that span the globe. And even today, families like the Rockefellers and Morgans sit atop industries that shape our very reality. But these are not just families with wealth. They are the architects of entire economic systems, crafting policies and financial structures that ensure their grip over society never loosens. Governments rise and fall, but the architects behind them remain untouched. The deep state is not a single government or nation. It is a network, a web of powerful elites, intelligence agencies, banking institutions, secret societies, and multinational corporations that function outside the scope of democracy. How do they manipulate? The answer is multifaceted. They use economic control. Think about the Federal Reserve, a private banking cartel that dictates the flow of money, like a god creating and destroying wealth at will. Fiat currency is printed from thin air. Debts are imposed on nations, and through systems like the IMF and World Bank, entire countries are shackled. But the control doesn't stop at mere economics. It extends into the very fabric of our everyday lives. Inflation, recessions, and economic booms are not natural occurrences. They are orchestrated. The stock market is not a free market. It is a controlled casino where only the house wins in the long run. And when a system becomes too unstable, when too many people begin to wake up to the illusion, they engineer a crisis, whether financial, medical, or military, to tighten their grip once again. Wars? They are not fought over freedom, but engineered for profit. Look at the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower warned us about it. Wars are investments for those who manufacture weapons and rebuild the ruins left behind. Consider the wars of the past century, the endless conflicts in the Middle East, the Cold War paranoia that fueled arms races, the proxy wars fought under the guise of ideology. Each of these conflicts has deep financial and strategic incentives for those who operate in the shadows. The companies that build the bombs, the corporations that secure rebuilding contracts, the intelligence agencies that profit from instability. War is not a tragedy to them, but a business model. And when brute force isn't the tool of choice, the deep state uses psychological warfare. Mainstream media, Hollywood, even social media algorithms, every screen you look at is a battleground for your mind. Subliminal conditioning, predictive programming, and psychological operations have turned entire populations into unwitting puppets. Ever noticed how certain narratives dominate the news cycle? How social media platforms push specific agendas while silencing others? That's not by accident. The phrase conspiracy theory itself was popularized by the CIA to discredit those who questioned official narratives. The goal is to keep the masses distracted, divided, and in a state of controlled chaos. If people are constantly arguing over superficial differences left versus right, man versus woman, nation versus nation, they will never unite against the true oppressors. Before we go further down this rabbit hole, let's take a brief moment to fuel up with something that won't hijack your brain. Our sponsor for today, Dubby Energy. If you're tired of relying on sugar-loaded, crash-inducing energy drinks that leave you feeling worse than before, Dubby is your answer. No jitters, no artificial colors or aftertaste, just pure energy designed to keep your mind sharp for the battles ahead. Check the link in the description and be sure to use my code ARIES117 at checkout for 10% off your order. Keep your wits about you as we expose the shadowy elite, the Dubby way. Thank you kindly to Dubby and all my subscribers for helping this channel grow. You are greatly appreciated. Now, let's sail back into the murky depths. The roots of control dig deeper into esoteric realms, into forces that transcend what we see. Secret societies like the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, and the Bilderberg Group have long been rumored to practice occult rituals, working with hidden knowledge passed down from the ancient mystery schools. Some believe their understanding of numerology, sacred geometry, and energy manipulation grants them the power to control the mass consciousness. Symbolism is their language, and it's hidden in plain sight from corporate logos to city layouts, even in the very architecture of Washington, D.C., where Masonic symbols whisper the true history of power. The all-seeing eye, the pyramid, the obelisk, these are not just random artistic choices, but signals to those who understand the deeper game being played. And that brings us to the age-old question, are they merely men with unchecked power, or is there something darker behind the curtain? Many traditions and whistleblowers suggest that these elites are not just bound by money, but by allegiance to something far more sinister. The Gnostics spoke of archons, entities that feed off human suffering and deception. In modern terms, some call them interdimensional parasites, others call them demonic forces. Either way, their hunger is for control, and they have embedded themselves in the minds and actions of the ruling class for centuries. Whether you believe in a literal supernatural element or see it as a metaphor for sociopathic elites, the result is the same, a system built on deception, control, and the extraction of human energy. What is the end game of the deep state? Some say it's a one-world government, a controlled technocracy where digital IDs, social credit scores, and centralized digital currencies ensure that every individual is monitored, regulated, and subdued. The push for mass surveillance has never been stronger. Your data is harvested, your movements are tracked, and through predictive AI models, they know your next step before you do. But here's the twist. Nautical truth seekers, the deep state's greatest weapon isn't war, economics, or even technology. It's fear. Fear keeps the masses paralyzed. Fear makes people beg for protection from the very system that enslaves them. Fear turns the truth into a conspiracy and the seeker into a lunatic. But let me tell you something. The greatest illusion they have spun is that they are invincible. They are not. Every empire falls, and every shadow eventually meets the light. Awareness is the first step. By questioning the narrative, by seeing the signs, by refusing to be a pawn in their game, you begin the process of breaking free. They control through division: left versus right, race versus race, man versus woman. But when humanity stands united, When we rise above their petty distractions and reclaim our sovereignty, their grip crumbles. So, nautical truth seekers, are you ready to step beyond the veil? Are you prepared to turn the tide against the unseen forces that have dictated reality for far too long? If so, let's continue this conversation. Hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, share this video. The more people who wake up, the harder it is for them to keep the illusion alive. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell, so you never miss our deep dives into the forbidden knowledge they don't want you to know. This is Aries Ezra, signing off from the bridge aboard Nautical Awakenings. Keep your mind sharp, your spirit strong, and remember, the deeper we dive, the closer we get to the truth. Peace and love to all on Earth.